All right, beautiful soul. Welcome back to this week's episode of the You Unlimited podcast. I am so grateful to have your beautiful life force energy in the space for you to be receiving whatever that golden nugget is that you're most meant to receive today. And if you're here for a reason. Your soul always guides you to exactly what it is that you are most meant to receive, and allow yourself to receive and then action what it is that feels juiciest. So today we're going to be talking about our physical spaces that we're dwelling in, that we're working in, and how they can really amplify the energy that we're wanting to be in creation mode around, right? It can either amplify or take away from what it is that we're actually building. And so it's going to be a moment of allowing you to really pause to tune into, is the physical space that I'm in right now elevating and allowing me to step into this next level version of self and the vision that I have for my brand and my business? And what are some ways that I can begin to optimize my physical space so that I am now feeling this different energy to step in differently so that I can really deeply support the mission that I'm here to expand into the planet? So I'm really excited to lean into this today because the space that we're dwelling in is so powerful. And so this is an opportunity to really tune in and say, am I feeling inspired by the space that I'm currently in? And if not, how can I begin to elevate that? So I would say, give yourself a minute to really tune into, what are the spaces that I work in most? Do you go into an office? Do you have a home office? Do you take yourself to coffee shops? What are the spaces that you dwell in most when you're working? And do you feel inspired by that space? And if you don't, take a minute to look around. What are some things that you can start to do right now that would actually help to optimize the space? So some of that could be just simply decluttering, right? So I invite you to tune into your physical space and say, what in this space is working for me? What is supporting me in the vision that I have for where I'm going? Because we can elevate the spaces that we're in, but sometimes it's about just taking a quick peek at the space that we're living in right now and actually noticing what's working for me and what's not working for me. So sometimes it's as easy as noticing, is my desk incredibly cluttered? Is my to-do list, does it include things from 1999 and 2025, right? Is there something that I can even clean up there because it's something that I'm working off of every single day? Are my bookshelves looking like a total disaster zone? Or do I feel inspired? Is there beauty all around me? Do I feel like there's some elevated textures in the space? So I would say, first and foremost, take a peek at your current space that you're typically working in, whether it's an office, whether it's a home office, whether you're taking yourself to other places, and see where some quick wins are. So for me, that was around really like looking at my desk and starting to declutter some stuff. It was also around, I have two bookshelves on both sides of me. And so when I really tuned in, I'm like, man, this just looks like I just shoved everything into an open cabinet, and it's just total mayhem. So I actually took some time to say, like, let me remove some of this stuff. Let me start to organize some of this stuff. And then from there, I got to really tune in and say, what would have me not only feel like the space is now cleansed and cleared, because that's super important, what would also elevate the space? So if we think about how to cleanse and clear the space first and foremost, let's go back to that because I think that's really important. That would be around decluttering. That would be around saging the space, bringing in Palo Santo, setting some powerful intentions around the energy you desire to have in the space. If you have been working in the same office for decades and you have not saged that mother effer, like, it's time to sage it. It's time to bring some Palo Santo in there, or bring like a candle in there and set some beautiful intentions around like clearing the old energy and calling in some beautiful new life force energy. And what does that include? What do you desire to experience in this space? What is your vision? Set that intention in the energy that you're desiring to call into the space. Really, really important. So this will give you that beautiful opportunity to say, how can I just simply elevate what I already have by decluttering, by cleansing and clearing the life force energy so that new energy can circulate through? So that would be step number one. How can I declutter and start to kind of optimize what I already have? Step number two is going to be around, is there something new that I could bring in that would really inspire me? And so that's around really starting to tune into your different senses. What are some things that I desire to see in this space that would have me feeling very inspired. And that will be so different for every single person. So I have been upgrading my office recently. I got this ping that it was time to kind of add in some more colors and textures and things of that nature. And so it's about, what do I find inspiring? What did I want to bring into the space? So for me, it was more plants, right? I just love seeing like live plants in the space. And there's so many beautiful health aspects to having live plants in the space. The shaman in me is just obsessed with having these beautiful live plants surrounding me. And there's just such high vibe energy. And so now I have just so many plants in the space, which is so much fun. But it was also around, I wanted to create this into an in-person podcast studio. And how do I amplify that? And where am I going to put the chairs? And what does that look like? So I let myself be in this state of play and also releasing expectations. So sometimes we'll say, oh, I want to redo the space. And we put all this pressure around ourselves, like we have to find the perfect pieces right now. And instead, I let myself just be inspired. I walked into random stores when I was already over in an area, visiting my parents, and I just stumbled into this store and I was like, oh my gosh, these two chairs, I have to have them. They're going to look so good in the space. And that's not something I would have found online, but I just let myself be guided. I felt the pull to walk into this beautiful new space. And with that, that's where I found my inspiration. So I was walking into different spaces and seeing what caught my eye. So whether that's online, whether that's in person, but just know that you're going to be guided to what excites you the most and let yourself play in that. Let yourself expand your space in the way that inspires you, not just the way that you think that other people want to see the space, right? Like if you're like, oh, I think that people this is what an elevated look looks like. Tune in and say, is this my unique individual elevated space or is this someone else's version of an elevated space? Because the goal is how do I feel most inspired in a space? So for me, that was around now I brought these new podcast chairs in. I've got the new plants in here. I started to look at what do my bookshelves look like and brought in some new decorations. And again, for me, it wasn't about, I basically would just walk into random shops and let myself find certain things that just inspired me. And it's like I didn't know what I was going to find, which I think is so much fun. And so let yourself just be inspired and know that the inspiration is going to come to you as well. So take the intuitive pings when you get them, follow it. But a big thing around that is starting to tune in and say, visually, what do I find appealing? Right now, let's tap into other senses. From a smell perspective, what would you find that would elevate the space? So if I have fresh plants in here, that creates a beautiful smell of freshness in the space, right? If I've now brought in some Palo Santo or a candle or something like that, like I'm about to dig into, let's say, a spreadsheet or bookkeeping or things like that, I love to really set the stage to get myself into a cozy space when I'm about to do something in different ways. So, like when I'm about to do some bookkeeping, I actually light candles and it has me feel really calm in my nervous system and it has me feel connected to my senses and it brings so much pleasure into the experience of something that normally past version of me would be like, oh, I don't want to do this. But because I let myself bring my senses in and elevate the entire experience, calm my nervous system during that, it allowed me to then step into it's an elevated experience. It feels really good to be in connection with my numbers. Now I'm in deep gratitude for every dollar that was spent, every dollar that was received. And it just makes the entire experience so much more intentional and so much more connected. So we go from eyes to nose to now, what are you hearing in your space? Do you enjoy listening to music while you're working? Have you let yourself kind of tune in and listen to music while you're working? Do you enjoy the sound of white noise or do you enjoy the sound of just total silence? Right? What is it that inspires you that you could be tuning into? And it will change because there are certain things where we might like peace and quiet during certain things, and then we might like music during other things. But I invite you to bring your all of your senses into the experience, including your sixth sense. So what that means is, as I was saying before, let yourself be guided. Walk into those random stores that you might never have walked into just because you're intrigued, right? Let yourself play with maybe an off the wall rug that you wouldn't normally purchase, but it just catches your eye and you start to get a feeling, a sensation in your body. You buy the rug and it actually fits perfectly in the space. The shop that I walked into, it was really fun because they were a bunch of interior designers. And so they were bringing out things that I never would have put together, but I was like, this looks so good. So I let myself kind of be on the playground with people that were in their zone of genius in their own playground and to play with them and to let it be a collaborative process. And it's like all of a sudden I've got these like furry pillows and like, all these things that I never would have purchased myself, but I'm like, that looks so good. There's so much texture. There's so much. I love that I never would have put these things together and yet it looks so effortless and beautiful. And so, but I let myself, my sixth sense, guide that whole experience by just being led in the door first and foremost. And then also knowing that even though I loved these chairs, just because my husband didn't necessarily love them, it doesn't matter because it's my office and it's how I feel most inspired. And now that he sees the chairs in the space, he's like, oh my gosh, they're beautiful. Right. But sometimes the people around us, the people that are closest to us, might not have the same, and 99.99999% do not have the exact same vision that we do. Right. It will always be a little bit different. And so let yourself be okay, even if people don't necessarily understand the vision or don't necessarily give you their stamp of approval when you are elevating your space in any way, shape, or form. So that doesn't mean you have to go out and spend thousands of dollars to completely elevate your space. Again, it could just be around taking a look at where can I bring a little more organization in here? Where can I freshen the energy? Can I open the windows up and bring in some beautiful air into the space? How can I set some new intentions in the space? And how does that feel to set the beautiful intentions in the space? And that in and of itself is going to deeply elevate the space. And when we talk about the energy of the space, bringing in things like you could bring in some crystals, right? We talked about plants. I have a sound bowl in my space, which is fun because sometimes I will hit it just to cleanse and clear the energy, right? Things of that nature. I have a drum in my space. So there's little things that help me kind of personally cleanse and clear the energy that make sense for me in my line of business, but tune into what that feels like for you. Do you want an old-fashioned record player? Would that have you kind of feel some of the feels while you're at work? Like, what is it that will kind of elevate the space? Is there a perfume that you wear on special occasions that you could actually put on your desk and smell it from time to time just to reignite some of those creative juices? So, little things like that around how can I feel more inspired in my space and start to bring in my different senses, whether it's touch, right? What are the different textures that I'm feeling today? And how does that inspire me? Do I desire to bring in maybe a new fabric for there's a bed in the room? Do I want to bring in some high quality sheets because being surrounded by certain fabrics just inspires me? Maybe, maybe not. Again, this is going to be so unique to you, but it's going to be around you allowing yourself to really tune into knowing that your space absolutely has the ability to help you begin to bring down those multi-million dollar ideas. It gives you the opportunity to really tune into what inspires you most, but it's about really working with yourself in the space, knowing that the spaces that we're dwelling in absolutely inspire us or take away all the wind from our sails. So if there's also a part of you that's like, man, I don't even know where to begin. This place is a disaster zone, take yourself to a coffee shop, right? Give yourself an opportunity to be like, well, what other spaces do I feel inspired by where I could just take myself to? I want to explore a new smoothie shop. I want to take myself to lunch today and bring my laptop and see what that feels like. Things of that nature, just know that that could be a really beautiful way to kind of start to elevate the space in the meantime as you start to tune into the power of the spaces that you let yourself dwell in because everything around you is holding energy. So it's about, really tuning in and saying, does this bring me joy or does this not bring me joy? Right? That beautiful book around the joy of tidying up, I think is what it's called. And you being able to really tune into, but does this in my space, does this personally bring me joy or does it actually remind me of something that was maybe a bad time in my life? Right? Or I was given this as a gift from someone that I'm no longer in alignment with. Do I want it sitting on my desk with subconscious programming attached to it? Do I want to gift it to someone else? Do I want to just recharge the energy in it, set a brand new intention around it? It's totally up to you, but it's just about knowing every single thing holds energy. Is that energy working for you, or is there a way that you can elevate it in some way? And we can do that with intention alone. Or we can do that by getting a different version of that or something that feels like it's more in alignment, right? Things of that nature. So just know the sky is the limit, and the space that you're dwelling in will absolutely have an effect on your creative life force energy, how much energy you're actually feeling, if you feel inspired, if you don't feel inspired. All of these things matter as you're starting to really tune in to what is next for me on the playground of life and what does that look like. So, let yourself play in this. Start to really tune in to the spaces that you're in. How can I feel more inspired that's so unique to me? And how can I bring in all of my senses, including my sixth sense, to be guided to elevate the spaces that I'm in, whether I'm stepping outside of where I'm normally dwelling, whether I'm enhancing where I'm at currently, whatever that looks like is going to be so uniquely guided by you and your spiritual team. And I'm just so excited to see how this elevates your creative juices and starts to get you really flowing in the space. So, we didn't talk about taste, but again, if you bring in, let's say there's a certain matcha that you love that you want to start your day with, bring that matcha into your office. Have that be a part of kind of like your morning ritual in there. Whatever that looks like, start to just elevate and bring in all of the different senses so that it allows you to really experience the space in a brand new way. So, with that, I am sending you so much light and love. Thank you so much for gifting us your most precious resource, your time. And I'm so grateful to see how you're going to start amplifying and using your time based on any golden nuggets that landed with you today. So I'm sending you again so much light and love. And until next time.